betrayal does not come from enemies outside the gates, but from the one who was held in Samson's arms every night. Darkness falls over the hills of Israel. The villages are gloomy in silence. Their people crumbled under the iron grip of the cruel Philistines. Heavy night of unanswered prayers. And the winds carry the cry for help of a nation on the brink of despair. High up alone, Samson on the steep hill. His body, once mighty and unshakable, now seems swallowed by darkness. His eyes burned with the storm of betrayal and grief as he looked towards the twinkling lights of Gaza, the enemy's stronghold and the place where he failed most miserably. Who will stand when friends become enemies and enemies surround like wolves? Samson whispered into the night, his voice trembling. The memory of Delilah's betrayal cut into his heart like a sharp sword. The gentle words that once promised love became the noose that tightened his fate. He revealed the secret of his power, and now he must bear the shame of a fallen champion. Behind him, the Philistine army gathered like a tsunami, ready to crush any remaining hope. Power cannot save, the judgmental whisper echoed in the wind. This is not just a story about power and strength. This is a story about judgment, about the high price of betrayal and the lonely road to redemption. Samson clenched his fists, feeling the weight of fate pressing down. The time of reckoning has come. Not with glory, but with fire, blood, and the terrifying silence of God's final call. The heavy nights exhausted Samson with love and deceit. Zrenia, he sat in Delilah's room. Her hands, once so gentle, were now the traps of betrayal. But because he was so blind and greedy, couldn't see the noose that was gradually tightening around his fate. Delilah whispered, her voice like sweet poison. "Tell me, my love, where does your true strength lie?" Samson, with a bleeding heart, hesitated. He deceived her 3 times, and this time, she pushed him harder than the 3 times before. Tonight, fatigue won over wisdom. He told her the truth. If my hair were cut, my strength would leave me. He will become a normal man like any other man. A darkness flashed in Delilah's eyes. Victory disguised as affection. She lulled him to sleep on her lap, singing softly as Philistine assassins waited in the shadows, the sound of scissors touching sacred hair. The first lock falls, and with it, the heavens seem to shake. Samson stirred, but it was too late. His covenant was broken. His oath was shattered. The Philistines rushed in with shouts of victory. "Samson, the mighty man, has been captured like a sheep," they mocked. Samson staggered to his feet, reaching for the strength that once roared through his veins. But the strength was gone. His arms, once invincible, felt like lead. Panic flared in his eyes. "God has abandoned me," he gasped in horror. He was bound with iron chains, his eyes torn from their sockets. Samson, Israel's champion, was dragged into the dust. The world became dark, and from heaven, an unusual dead silence. Thus was the fall of the strongest man chosen by God, not betrayed by the army, but by the fragile strings of his own heart. The darkness of prison swallows Samson. Day after day he staggered in chains, blind, broken, ridiculed by the very people he once feared. His hair, once a symbol of his covenant with God, now grew long in silence. He was not discovered by the laughing jailers. Every strand of hair is a prayer rising from the ashes of failure. Inside the temple of Dagon, the Philistines prepare a grand spectacle. They will parade their greatest enemy as a trophy of the gods. The nobles gathered, drunk on victory. The crowd roared. The drums beat like the beat of an approaching storm. Dagon's banner flew proudly, but the sky above remained quiet and gloomy. Samson was dragged out, staggering, covered in blood, into the middle of the temple. The taunts pierced the air like arrows. "Where is your God now, Samson? Sing us a song, blind lion." His hands groped for something, anything. The young maid boy led him forward. "Put me between the pillars," Samson whispered, his voice hoarse with pain, but steady with deeper resolve. "Let me feel them." The boy obeyed, but little did he know that fate was at work. Samson spread his arms out on the two large pillars supporting the temple. He could feel the ancient rocks shaking under the weight of the jeering crowd above. And then, with his face turned toward heaven, Samson prayed, not for himself, but for his people. "Lord, please remember me. Please give me strength one more time. Lord, let me take revenge on the Philistines for my eyes with one blow." The crowd continued to jeer, unaware of the invisible tides changing in the spiritual realm. A wave of power surged inside Samson's broken body. His once withered muscles now pulsed with divine power. His hair brushed against his bruised shoulders, a silent banner of the restored covenant. With a roar that shook the heavens, Samson braced himself against the pillars. "Let me die with the Philistines!" he shouted. With a powerful push, the pillars groaned, cracked and shattered. A deafening rumble tore through the air as rock hit rock. Dagon's temple collapsed like a wounded beast. The scream echoed through the air, then was swallowed by falling debris. Dust obscured the sun. Philistine lords, warriors, mockers, 3,000 souls were buried under the rubble. Silence reigned, a sacred silence. Amid the ruins lay the shattered corpse of Samson, his arms still outstretched in final defiance, like a living cross. Israel, watching from afar, finally understood. Samson fell, but through his fall the Philistines' iron grip was broken. The darkness that covered Israel was torn apart, not by a king, not by an army, but by a flawed man who remembered his calling at the last minute. The news spread like wildfire across the country. Mothers cried, fathers trembled, and raised their hands to the sky. Children grow up hearing about the man who liberated an entire nation in his heroic death. "Death is greater than life," they whispered around the campfire. The cities of the Philistines mourn the dead, but Israel dares to hope again. For in the ruins of the temple of Dagon, God answered, not by an army, but by a broken man and one final act of faith. Some say that the land where Samson fell remained barren for generations, a great scar on the land, a reminder that divine power is not given for glory, but for sacrifice. Others say that on some nights, when the moon is full and the wind howls across the plains, you can hear the echo of a blind warrior's last cry, a cry not of despair, but of triumph. "The Lord is my strength and my shield. In him I trust." And the question remains, whispering through time, when the hour comes, When enemies surround you and hope seems lost, will you remember your calling? The tragic, triumphant, and eternal story of Samson ends thus. The judge fell, but rose again at the hour of greatest need. A hero is born not from a perfect life, but from a perfect surrender. Dust covers the ruins of the temple. The people of Israel stood in amazement, trembled as news of Samson's sacrifice spread throughout the land. A man who was once ridiculed for his failures became the instrument of their salvation. In the desolation of defeat, God's power shines brightest. Choose, who will you worship, lust or faith? The question echoes through the generations. The story of Samson is no longer just a story of strength. It has become a mirror for every soul caught between call and temptation, between surrender and pride. The ruins of Gaza have become a silent monument, a place where dust and blood prove that no life is beyond redemption. Even in betrayal, even in blindness, even in death, faith found a way to rise again. Because God is always present in the darkness, even when we forget to call his name. Samson's death was not the end. It was the beginning of an exciting hope. His story whispers a haunting truth. God is not looking for perfect heroes. He is looking for broken hearts ready to return. From the ashes of Gaza, Israel found its courage. They remembered who they were. They remembered who their God was. And today, in our own ruins, in our silent wars, the question remains, will you rise when called? Will you stand, even if you fall down? Samson's voice, carried by the winds of time, still rings out. Not the strength of the body, but the strength of faith.